Welcome back. You're still watching the Politbureau. Chief Justice Mogoeng Mogoeng is right. It matters who becomes president, ministers and mayors, or at least it should matter. The Auditor General's 2017-2018 report is sounding the alarm. Lack of compliance in municipalities is on the rise and there are no repercussions. Instead of improvement, in the past 6 years, the financial state of municipalities has shown an accelerating downward trend in public finances. Who is to blame? Well, joining me now in studio is SALGA's National Program Manager and Municipal Audit Support, Buhle Ngabai. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. What happened?
Thank you for having me. So the picture as it looks now is obviously something that's developed over a period of time. If you have a look at the AG's report, the AG has correctly pointed out that over a period of time there's been a disregard basically for the Auditor General's findings. Normally when the Auditor General makes or does their audit, they will come up with recommendations at the end on what municipalities should do in order to improve the outcome. So there will be a root cause analysis that happens, and then the AG comes up with certain recommendations that must be followed in order to improve the audit outcomes. And obviously from what we are seeing now is that a lot of these recommendations are not being followed in municipalities.
Mm-hmm. But why? Why is that happening?
Oh, there are a number of...
Has SALGA ever sat down with these municipalities and said, guys, you are not following the Auditor General's remedial action, recommendations by the Auditor General?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And what were the answers?
Well, I mean, you would imagine that in a situation like that, different municipalities are facing different sorts of challenges. So you get a variety of responses. Remember that from the SALGA side, we are running the Municipal Audit Support Program, which is aimed basically at trying to assist these municipalities. But the success of any support program, especially the one that's aimed at trying to improve governance and audit outcomes, financial reporting in a municipality, really cannot be influenced from the outside. These programs only find success where you arrive at a municipality that's actually prepared to go about and make a change. And so there are varying degrees of success. SALGA is not the only one in this space. I think the AG does a lot of work, Treasury does, COCTA does, but basically the success or failure of any support intervention depends on the attitude of the leadership of the municipality.
Where does the buck stop?
Well, the buck would stop obviously then with the political leadership of the municipality.
So would this be the mayor?
This would be the mayor.
So this
He's effectively the head of the board, if you look at it like that.
Sure. So then this brings me to the next question, and the opening statement around this is that, are mayors fit for purpose? If you have only 7% of municipalities with clean audits, it certainly seems that they are not fit for purpose.
Oh, do
you agree with that?
It could be. It could be pointing in that.
But why is it could be when the facts are showing us that, and you're saying that the buck stops with the mayors, and the mayors have municipalities that don't have clean?
Because in as much as the buck stops with the mayor, there are lots of role players in making sure that municipalities run well. And you remember that I've just now made the example that the mayor is like the head of the board in a corporate company. But remember that as well, the way the governance structures of municipalities are set up is very, very complex. It's different to a private company. So people are voted into council.
Yeah.
Political stability and political dynamics play a huge, huge role in the stability and the functioning of council. And all of those factors together then influence whether or not council now, which is the equivalent of the board, would actually be functioning.
Then there must be a problem with the system. It is a constitutional system, but certainly there are problems.
I think that there is certainly room to review how the thing is working, but that might be outside of what I can comment on.
Because you have the Chief Justice who says that there needs to be at least a criteria set for who becomes president, or criteria that's met for people who want to run to become president. I say the same should apply to even people who want to become mayors and run multi-billion rand budgets of municipalities.
There are, by the way, a number of reforms that are coming into play, some of them that have actually begun. So Treasury has started introducing things like the minimum competency framework. so far applicable to officials, but as well with the appointment of political leadership and all of that, there are certain now training interventions and training programs that Treasury is rolling out together with SALGA. But I mean, you would imagine as well that these would take time to bear fruit. If you've got, in a situation where you've got new political office bearers, for example, getting them up to speed and getting them going will take longer than a situation where in another municipality you've got office bearers that have been in the system for a while. But those reforms have been identified and they are happening.
The Auditor General finds that in some cases the recommendations are just simply ignored. It's not that the people don't know about them. It's not that the people don't know about what the PFMA requires and the supply chain management policies require. It's just that they bypass those recommendations that are set there to ensure that there are sound financial decisions that are taken.
Exactly. And that brings into question the whole issue of consequence management.
Yeah.
It's obviously something that's been framed a lot over the last couple of years because of the situation that we are seeing. And as we've said as SALGA, that there does need to be a culture shift within municipalities, because at the end of the day, legislation is there, but for legislation to have teeth, it's got to be enforced. And for those that don't do it, then there must be consequences. And by the way, this brings into question as well the whole issue of the Public Audit Act, which is effectively now, if you have a look at how it came about, the Public Audit Act is here now because they are trying to make sure that their recommendations are enforced, which is what council should be doing. And so the situation is then that in a municipality where council is doing what it's supposed to be doing, the Public Audit Act shouldn't be such a big thing. But the Public Audit Act is there to give teeth, because those that are supposed to be entrusted with governance in certain instances are failing.
But also the administrators, at least the CFOs and so forth. The the Auditor General finding that around 177 million rand was spent on service of financial management. When you actually have a CFO who's appointed to the position, who gets paid to do that particular job, and that job is now being outsourced, and 177 million is being paid in Limpopo.
It's a huge concern, especially in a situation where obviously the financial environment is very constrained. In real terms, even the allocations that go to municipalities are declining. So obviously in a situation like that, where everything is so constrained, the value for money that you are getting from outsourcing services is something that needs to be critically looked at. And I mean, from our side, we understand there are factors that influence why there are so many consultants in the space. The municipal environment is very highly regulated, and with the issues that municipalities are having, other institutions then come about and bring in more and more reporting legislation to try and close the loop. What that does is that it causes then the reporting burden to be heavier and heavier on municipalities. But then we honestly also have to answer the question of how we got there in the first place. Yeah. We can't deny the fact that if municipalities were doing what they were supposed to do, a lot of these legislative requirements might not be there. And so that's the catch-22 that they have now. In
closing, what does the future hold?
Look, from a SALGA perspective, we obviously think that there needs to be more intensified support for municipalities in order to assist them to get out of this situation.
But right now, do you think the municipalities will collapse? Considering that some municipalities can't even pay service providers or even their own staff.
Yeah, the situation is tough, but I do not think that we are yet at a point where municipalities are going to collapse. Remember that there's a lot that can be done. Once municipalities start doing the right things, we will see the turnaround.
Okay, then thank you so much. Sorry for that. We've run out of time. That is SALGA's Buhle Kabai. And here is my parting shot. Do you realize that we are about 90 days away from October, 3 months? Why is this significant? That is the month that South Africans were shocked by the Great Bank Heist report. Not only did the report find that municipalities illegally invested billions of rands into VBS Bank, it also listed 53 people who gratuitously took 1.89 billion from the bank. Let me remind you of the VBS clients sleeping outside the bank in Venda and pouring out their pain when speaking to ENCA's Zukwana Chona. Kanti, when will the people see justice? It is the lack of consequences in these incidents which embolden state functionaries that stealing even from the poor won't result in any criminal proceedings. Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, we wish you and your team all the best. Maybe you'll be lucky to secure a prosecution or two. It's a wrap. The Politbureau is now adjourned. We are back next week, Monday. Take care. Good night.